We're hitting the reset button here at halftime, and we're going to come back and establish our identity here in the second half.
You need to change what you're doing.
I don't know. You think so? We're going to do just fine.
Okay, so that was Bears head coach Ben Johnson with CBS sideline reporter during the halftime when the Bears trailed 14-9 against the Raiders. The Bears would go on to win the game, and after some time, Ben Johnson reflects on that entire halftime exchange and said he was a little bit remorseful. Listen to this.
In the moment, I honestly didn't think too much of it. I'm kind of in game mode. But then when I look back at it, you know, I am a little bit disappointed with what that looks like. You know, I didn't hear very well, and that's not an excuse, but when I thought I heard that it was not a question, but that I needed to make some changes, I didn't take that very well. So I'll do a better job with those going forward.
Okay, so we've heard that sound a few times now, right? And so some time for us to also reflect on what happened there. Ben Johnson saying maybe he didn't clearly hear the question from Aditi, who's been covering the NFL for a really long time, really smart. What did you make of Ben Johnson's
I found
exchange?
his explanation not only reasonable but admirable, to be quite honest with you. Because what he was saying was, I'm on the field, and I heard the question, and then the way she asked it, I knew it was a question, but it's perfectly reasonable that he didn't think he was hearing a question, that he thought he was hearing a statement, a suggestion from her. You're a football coach. First of all, you ain't trying to hear from somebody that's not a coach, that's not a football player or not a football coach, telling you in real time, okay, making a suggestion to you at halftime of a damn game, in the middle of a game. This ain't even in a press conference. This is not a pregame press conference, not a postgame press conference, everything like that. So if number one, I can understand how he misunderstood it. But most importantly, I just want to applaud his manhood. Yo, I thought something. I might have mistaken here. Wasn't a good look, my bad. That's all you can ask for as a human being. I mean, if somebody is sincere, and I don't know if he's called her or not, obviously he's saying so publicly, which is appropriate because what he did was in public.
Yeah.
So he should acknowledge it publicly. If it was in private, then you can acknowledge it privately. But if it's in public, you should acknowledge it publicly. The fact that he did that in public, I think that's a lesson to all of us, especially in this day and time. If somebody is sincere and they come to you with an apology, accept the damn thing. What you gonna live with it for and hold on to it and be bitter and all of this other stuff? If they're sincere that they were wrong, and the same kind of platform that they came at you wrong on is the same platform they go back to acknowledge that they were wrong, then as adults we should all embrace that, accept it. And I applaud Ben Johnson for handling it like that.
Yeah, I think we give him grace, man. I mean, look, you in the heat of battle, we always talk about it, but ultimately, this is a part of the job for Ben Johnson. And you're a first-year head coach, and I get it. You probably locked in on 1,000 other things. First, you probably don't want to even do the interview. Going into halftime, trying to figure out.
Ain't no problem. No problem. They never want to do it.
So a lot of it is him in this particular situation, learning how to manage that part of being a head coach as well. And I always, like to Stephen A's point, you acknowledge the fact that you were wrong in your response and you apologize. I think that's where it should lay. And Shay, you one of the women in this media game, and you've been on the sideline as a reporter before. I know Boogie Laura Rutledge, like the sideline, and sometimes it's heated, right, with these coaches. It's not going the way they want it to go. I just don't want the culture to believe that y'all are so thin-skinned, like y'all won't get over it, right? Ben Johnson came out, acknowledged it. I think Dede will be fine with that acknowledgement, and you move on from there, and he'll be more conscious about what one, hearing the question, but also being more conscious about how you handle those interviews, whether it's a female or a man.
Yeah, I just think it's a good rule of thumb that if you're a coach, you don't turn it around on the reporter and ask them a question.
Yep.
I
got you.
And if you're unclear about it, you say, can you clarify the question? That should be the only question that you ask.
In the moment on the football field?
That's what you do. Because here's the thing, Stephen A., we can't criticize these athletes for not handling it right when it comes to those reporters and not criticize the coaches too.
Yep.
So they're a part of representing the franchise, representing ownership, and that was a poor moment from Ben Johnson. Now here's the thing. I didn't see it as disrespect when I saw the interview initially, but I can understand how it's interpreted as being unprofessional.
Yeah.
And let me say this, Adina Kikabala, she covered the Giants beat when I was a part of that franchise for the Wall Street Journal.
Bro.
I know her to be one of the finest reporters in the National Football League.
Yes, she is.
And so I don't think she was out of bounds in terms of how she handled it. You just wished that the communication didn't get mixed up in that circumstance, because it makes Ben Johnson come off as something that he is not.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what ended up.
And y'all know we live in a delicate day and time with social media. And people will form opinions about Ben Johnson in that seminal moment. So I think both perspectives are important when you start talking about what that characteristic of that conversation could be interpreted as by people, and also his apology and how much that should fall on how he goes forward.
And that's why I brought up what I brought up at the very beginning, because of the climate that we're living in, the world that we're living in right now. You know, so much the bitterness, just the abrasiveness is held on to. When you got somebody that's an adult and acting like an adult, and they're willing to acknowledge that they're wrong.
Yeah.
What's there to hold on to? Why walk around with that kind of bitterness? Why walk around that on your shoulders? You know what I'm saying? It's unnecessary. And if more people were willing to apologize and acknowledge when they were wrong, and man up or woman up, and say, look, that was my fault. That's on me. I didn't realize I was wrong.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place.
No doubt.
I know Aditi personally. She's a wonderful reporter.
Yes, she is.
Very smart football mind. Okay, her inflection was different on the second part of the question, which is probably why he interpreted it the way he did. The only thing I had an issue with, and he apologized publicly, great. I'm sure she's over it. It's the fan base that needs to get over it. Is the stare down at the end I didn't love.
Yep.
That's what kind of made it feel a little mean.
Personal.
Yeah, right? Like I didn't need the stare.
Well, it makes sense. What I'm saying is if he's in the moment and he's feeling offended because she's thinking you suggested,
which is
it ain't like he's going to do something to you, but he's looking at you.
Yeah, like, why'd you ask
This is,
that?
you know, and I love, listen, there's no bigger fan of Nick Saban than me. And we saw him with Maria Taylor and how unpopular that moment was. You know what I'm saying? So, again, that's not what Ben Johnson did.
Right.
You know, he's looking at you like, I don't like that. I don't like that statement. But remember, he thought it was a statement. I don't like that.
I would assume from both of their perspectives, it's a wash. We apologize, we've moved on, let's go to week 5, and that's the end of it. But it was probably a learning lesson for both of them, and I'm sure Ben Johnson knows how to handle those situations better going forward.
Into that stereotype that we sometimes have about wide receivers. I interviewed him last year when he was reading a book on the sideline. I just found him to be a very introspective guy.
I think that's an incredibly important point to make, and you actually have changed my perspective on this. You know, wide receivers, look, that's their job. Their job and the way they get highlighted and the way they get their money. If they don't get the ball, then they're going to feel a certain type of way. It's hard to blame them for that. And we've seen a lot of different receivers handle that a lot of different ways. And at the end of the day, reading a book and posting cryptic Bible verses, probably a pretty benign way of demonstrating, right? We remember this from last year, of demonstrating that you are not satisfied with the situation, whether he's actually angry. We actually use the word disgruntled. I don't even know for sure. He may be gruntled. I don't know. But the point I'm making is it's easy to understand why he's not thrilled with his role in the offense. And I think if this is the way he's going about expressing it, in the